Episode 56 CY. United Kingdom. ROSEP view. Not enough hyperlocalized PM2.5 monitors were used, close to each stationary source of air pollution, which could be a residential wood stove. That means this American Lung Association, ALA, report is not comprehensive in counting PM2.5 emissions from residential wood burning's PM2.5 emissions. UK, London, The Guardian. Nearly 120 million people in US exposed to unhealthy levels of soot and smog, report. The Guardian. Other sources include fossil fuel-powered cars and trucks, power plants, wood-burning stoves, and agricultural burns. Pittsburgh and Lancaster in. Nearly 120 million people in U.S. exposed to unhealthy levels of soot and smog, report. American Lung Association study also found great disparity between coasts, with 10 of 11 most polluted counties in California. April 19, 2023. The climate crisis has upended progress on improving air quality, with 1 in 3 Americans currently living in areas with harmful levels of pollutants known to increase the risk of medical emergencies, pregnancy complications, and premature death, new research reveals. Almost 120 million people in the U.S. are still exposed to unhealthy levels of soot and smog, according to the annual report by the American Lung Association, ALA, which found that people of color are almost 4 times more likely to live in the most polluted places than white Americans. The extent to which access to clean air is racialized is stark. People of color account for 54% of those living in counties with failing air quality, despite accounting for just over 40% of the general population. The zip code lottery spotlights decades of racist housing and environmental policies, which have incentivized and enabled polluting infrastructure like highways and railroads, fossil fuel projects, and manufacturing plants to be located close to Black, Latin, and Indigenous communities. And despite overall improvements in air quality and pollution-related deaths over the past 50 years, the report also highlights a widening disparity between air quality in eastern and western states, especially for fine particulate matter or PM2.5. 10 of the 11 most polluted counties are in California, where the climate breakdown is fueling wildfires and rising temperatures that are undermining efforts to improve air quality in places like Fresno, San Bernardino, Tulare, and Los Angeles. Catherine Pruitt, lead author and the ALA's National Senior Policy Director, said since around 2017, heat and drought driven by climate change has been undoing some of the progress that we should have made and been able to retain. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, was mandated by the 1970 Clean Air Act to set health-based limits for toxins, fine particulate matter, among 6 toxins in total. Since then, overall emissions have fallen by 78%, according to the EPA, yet progress has stalled and poor air quality continues to cut tens of thousands of lives short in the U.S. every year. Globally, air pollution is responsible for almost 7 premature deaths annually, according to the World Health Organization. The ALA's 24th Annual State of the Air Report uses data from 2019 to 2021 to grade city and county-wide exposure to the most widespread air toxins, including PM2.5 or soot, using 3 measures: year-round levels and daily spikes of PM2.5. 71 million people live in counties which do not monitor air quality and so are excluded from the report. Overall, almost 64 million people lived in areas that experienced unhealthy daily spikes in PM2.5 pollution, the highest number in a decade. 8 of the 10 worst performing counties for daily particle spikes were in California, which in 2021 recorded almost 9,000 wildfires, a major source of these microscopic particles, which are blown for miles and can trigger asthma attacks, heart attacks, and strokes, as well as lung cancer. Other sources include fossil fuel-powered cars and trucks, power plants, wood-burning stoves, and agricultural burns. Pittsburgh and Lancaster in Pennsylvania are the 2 worst metro areas for daily PM2.5 spikes east of the Mississippi River. while several urban, industrialized eastern and midwestern states, such as New Jersey, New York, and Ohio, which once dominated the ALA dirtiest air list, have cut emissions. There is hope of fighting back against the climate-fueled regression. Incentives to electrify the transport system in the Inflation Reduction Act, plus several proposals by the EPA to tighten the outdated smog and set standards and mandate lower emissions from vehicles and power plants, are in the works. The report ranks Wilmington, North Carolina, Bangor, Maine, Lincoln, Nebraska, Rochester, New York, and Honolulu, Hawaii among the country's cleanest cities. UK, London. New review shows harmful health impacts of pollution before birth through to old age. Greater London Authority. The children who traveled by car breathed more air pollution than those who walked along quiet roads, with the greatest PM2.5 concentrations being UK, Wales. Backlash over Brecon Beacon's name change, Yahoo News UK. Yahoo News UK. The park's management claimed the association with a wood-burning, carbon-emitting blazing beacon was not a good look as the name was dropped in. The ridiculous renaming of the Brecon Beacons spiked. The word beacons refers to the wood-burning braziers that small settlements used to light on elevated ground to warn neighboring communities of. Brecon Beacons to be renamed in response to climate change. The Times. The image of wood-burning braziers, from which the name Brecon Beacons is taken, is no longer appropriate as it aims to be net zero by 2035. A Welsh name change is seeing right-wingers getting angry at some hills, Indy 100. And ditch the images and references to wood-burning, carbon-emitting beacons, which no longer align with the park's ethos. Brecon Beacons National Park changing name to show action on climate change. The Independent. The park's managers said the present name referencing wood-burning, carbon-emitting beacons no longer fits the ethos of the park. Brecon Beacons National Park changing name to show action on climate change. AOL UK. The park's managers said the present name referencing wood-burning, carbon-emitting beacons no longer fits the ethos of the park. Story continues. National Park to change its name to cut link with wood-burning and emissions. Daily Mail. From today, the Brecon Beacons National Park will adopt the Welsh name of Bynw Brecwniig National Park, pronounced Bannau Brecwniig or. Excerpts edited by Rosep for brevity and clarity. London. A British national park, which attracts millions of visitors every year, has ditched its burning beacon logo and changed its name to reflect its Welsh language roots in a rebranding designed to strip out any association with carbon emissions. Brecon Beacons, covering around 520 square miles, 1,350 square kilometers, of mountainous South and Mid Wales, will now be known as Bynw Brecwniig, park authorities announced. Translated into English, the name means the peaks of Brecon's kingdom, referring to King Brecon, who ruled that area of Wales during the 400s AD. The park's landscape, which is used to train Wales' elite SAS soldiers, attracts more than 4 million visitors per year. An old name for a new way to be. A name from our past to take us into our future. The overhaul also included a new green and white logo to replace a brightly burning beacon. We're an environmental organization. We're trying to cut carbon and push to net zero. So, having a carbon-burning beacon just isn't a good look, the park's chief executive said. The park also said there was no evidence beacons, once lit on peaks or coastlines to warn of an imminent attack, had ever been used in the area, and so the Welsh name better reflected its heritage.